Squirrels! So hello, and welcome to another Legends of Runeterra video. My name is Chris, and today we will be playing 'Tis But a Flesh Wound. What is 'Tis But a Flesh Wound, I hear you say? Well, it's a deck similar to one I built before the new expansion patch, but we got some new toys to play with, one of them being Glinthorn, attack, stun all damaged enemies, and I am just going to spend a little time on this card. Because when it was released, when it was revealed that this was a card, it seems like a very strong card, right? You stun all damaged enemies anytime you attack. It's something the opponent can't interact with. It's something that, it's a 6-mana 6/6, so it's very solid body anyway. It's kind of reminiscent of something like Cithria the Bold, which is one of the best 6-drops in the game. Because essentially, anytime you attack, you get a very powerful effect potentially. But this card hasn't seen much, if any, competitive play, and I've seen people try and build around this card to very limited success. And I think that's because people try and build this card in a sort of Swain deck. And when they try and combine it with Swain, they think that it needs to be combined with non-combat damage and therefore spell damage. And they found that it doesn't work quite as well as they intended. And I tried it myself, and I agree that it didn't feel that strong, because often with your spells, if you just damage their units, it doesn't feel that good, because they still get the attack in and you still lose life. So it just feels kind of bad, and yes, you're setting up for this potentially powerful effect, but it's very slow as a concept, and therefore hasn't seen much success. And why are we playing Nox Shadow Isles then? Why are we playing this deck? What does this deck try and do differently? Well, it doesn't rely on spells, it relies on units. Units are much more reliable to just simply damage enemies, as it means you still get a block. Oftentimes, if you are in a sort of control deck, you will chump block something out. It's kind of the nature of what will happen. You know, you'll obviously chump out their big threats, and then you damage them, and then you can obviously profit from stuff like Glinthorn, which can give you a big attack later on in the game that potentially can win you that game. So we are playing it with these colors. Sorry, we are playing it with these colors, obviously, to chump block stuff out with our spider package early on. And what spiders allows us to do is obviously control the board early on, and therefore go more aggressive if we need to. But if we need to stall, we can afford to stall as well. So let's run you through the deck. Well, obviously we are playing spiders, and we expect to chump block, therefore stuff like Crawling Sensation is very good, as it gives us 2 more chump blockers to use. Same thing with Aristocrat, obviously he's going to chump block, very good one drop, that also gives us a spider as well to chump block. Ravenous Flock, if we are chump blocking all these units, I've said that a lot already, and dealing damage to them, then Ravenous Flock essentially acts as a 1-mana kill most things, you would assume. It's not going to be stun really, we do have some stun effects, but it's mostly going to be the dealing damage side of this. Elise, we're playing spiders, obviously we're going to play Elise as a very solid 2-drop that could potentially come down, get us an extra blocker if we need it, and just can potentially make us into an aggro deck as well if we also need that. Glimpse, obviously pretty solid card draw in this deck, we don't have too much of it, so Glimpse acts as a nice way to do that. House Spider, 2 more bodies, 2 more blockers. Wonderful. Vile Feast. It's going to deal damage to a unit and give us a blocker. You see the synergies here that we're essentially, against any aggro or mid-range matchup, we're just going to be chump blocking the board as we go, and just trading inefficiently in that way, but what they don't realize what's coming for them. Here is a stun effect, Arachnoid Sentry. Again, if we are going to stall the game a bit, this is a very good tool to do so. And then comes potentially what can be the MVP of this card, particularly against mid-range matchups. This can really end the game in your favor, because Noxian Guillotine, combined with our deck and how many chump blockers we have, this is essentially Vengeance that you can recast again and again for 3 mana. Vengeance costs 7 mana in this game to kill a unit, so killing a unit, and obviously it has to be a damaged unit, but that's not going to be too hard for us. You can essentially potentially board wipe them with this card in 1, and that's obviously a very powerful effect. So Noxian Guillotine is kind of an MVP in this deck, and I think if you are going to run Glinthorn, you would need to consider running Guillotine in that deck as well, as I think that kind of needs to be the deck that you're aiming towards if you want to get the most out of Glinthorn. Brood, great card. Ever since this went to 5 mana, it's been a fantastic card. It probably was fine at 6, but people didn't think it was. But at 5, it's a really, really powerful effect. Grasp, it's just a good card, and we are going to need to stay alive against aggro matchups. Withering Wail obviously can deal 1 damage to all units on the board, and also heal us 3, so obviously goes well with the damage type effects, and heals us 3, a very good card as well. Glinthorn we've talked about, 1 Rasa, a lot of things are going to die. Rasa can potentially, change a board, win you the game. Very powerful effect, so 1 of him, and 3 Ledros. Ledros is our big finisher. I know it's a bit dull, right? Oh, you're playing a sort of Shadow Isles control. Oh, you're playing Ledros. Oh, yes, we are. We are playing Ledros. But if we can get him and Glinthorn onto a board with a full of damaged units, you can, potentially go in for a massive win, and that's quite fun. And then finally 1 Ruination, just to reset the board in case, sort of a panic button, right? Hit the panic button in case there's no other option. So that's the deck. It's quite fun to play if you are, a fan of more control type archetypes, but you don't really like Karina control because it is a very boring list. Then this might be the deck for you, as Noxus isn't really your main go-to control deck. Although we have seen some Gangplank control stuff, and Swain perhaps as well, control-y. Gangplank isn't Noxus. What am I talking about? Anyway, we're going to jump into some games. So here is a game against Kalista Thresh. You'd assume ephemerals? Kind of ephemeral harrowing type deck is what I'm picturing. So I'm not sure if we need to be the aggressor or not. We have quite a good Elise hand here. I might drop the Vile Feast but keep everything else. Obviously I like Elise on turn 2. I don't mind Hapless on turn 1 if we have to. He's got a 1 to prey, so I'm quite happy to trade these as it will give us an extra spider. And it will also mean that Elise potentially gets an even better attack with the extra spider as well. Now, 1 to prey is obviously a bit of an RNG card. You can get something very good, you can get something that is pretty terrible. He does have Grenadier, and rule number 1 of Elise is if she's not attacking, she's not doing anything. I know this seems like a bad trade, but for new players out there, don't prioritize your Elise that much. We just got an extra spider for free, and he just traded. If we wouldn't have attacked, the board state would have still been the same, right? So there's no reason not to attack in that moment. And now we can open up potentially for a good open attack, but we might want to go Brood Awakening here, depending on what he does right here. So Vile Feast. Bit unfortunate, that makes our open attack a little bit worse, so we probably will go into Brood Awakening. He could have Deny, he is in Ionia, so it's not impossible, but we are going to go for it anyway. We also have the perfect amount of space right now to get these 3 spiders on the board. Yeah, so he does have Deny. We'll still go in at this point, he'll probably trade there. Obviously we just do second Brood Awakening, which is pretty nice. And as I say, this deck can be quite flexible. As you can see, we are technically a control deck, but right now we are putting on some pressure. Now it's likely that at this point the game will start to swing, but again with second Brood we can really go into something quite nice. And right now I probably am just going to go second Brood straight away. He'll obviously trade the Thresh here into this House Spider, but that's fine because our open attack next turn also looks pretty tasty. He just takes 1 with 2 attack. That's kind of fine. I'm not too worried about this Thresh in all honesty. So we get in a decent attack there as well. Thing is, with Thresh, with him not having a board, he's still only on 2 of 6, right? So he's pretty limited in that instance. He just wants to pass the round. I'm quite happy to pass the round as well. I don't see any reason to develop the board right now, because he could set up for something like his own Withering Wail and potentially kill a lot of our spiders. And I don't want that to be the case. So there's a Scourge. He'll use that for Kalista, obviously. That's what he's looking for. So we play this aristocrat, and that's fine. He might death mark here. But if he does death mark, that's also fine. So Thresh will go up to 4. That's like whatever. We know he's got death mark there. That's definitely what he was thinking about. So we have to keep Glimpse open for something like that. He could whale us at this point, obviously, and that would be quite bad. The box. That's interesting. So that will level up his Thresh. So we'll go and whale his Thresh right now. Oh, we also should have glimpsed one of these. But his glimpse gives us the chance to glimpse as well. So we trade glimpses. And we have a pretty nice open attack now as well. Thresh won't level up. And we will gain 3 life. I don't think Whale is really going to hit too much of his deck. For kill potential, obviously it could hit for the sort of potential of damaging their units as we get him back down to 7. He'll just play a Cursed Keeper. Again, there's no reason to really develop here into anything. That's all fine. We have a pretty good whale potentially here. Okay, so he's going all in. I don't really feel the need to do anything radical here either, though. The attack still isn't that good, I don't think. And with Ledros now, we really give ourselves a good chance of winning. We can obviously block for the whale potential. He's thinking about something. So now we kind of have a choice. We could go Rasa, we could go Ruination, we could go Ledros. Ledros puts pressure on him. And also is something quite difficult for him to deal with. He could have Will of Ionia. But I quite like the idea of just pushing him down there. So he's down on 3. At this point we could probably obviously go Ruination if he ever taps below anything like that. There's no need to really rush into anything here. We could obviously go Withering Whale. Or I could go Sentry. Got 13 mana to play with. That's 8, 11, 13 all here in these right 4 cards. Ruination is always kind of a fail-safe if we need it. Let's start with Whale. I want to see what he's going to do. No reason to rush an attack with a Ledros. If he denies this, that's even better. So he glimpse, we won't let that happen obviously. So we pick up a spider. Kalista, and now I think we will go in with a pretty decent attack, hopefully. Can use these aggressively now. And we'll also do this. And now we're putting him under real pressure because he can potentially whale this. But he has to block, or at least will this. He has to deal with these, obviously. Yep. So Will of Ionia on you. Thresh unfortunately will level up, but there's not much we can do about that. We got rid of Callista. We obviously have the Ruination. That's pretty nice. So we can guillotine 3 units here. Is that our play? I don't think it has to be. I think our play can be Rasa instead, to be honest. We do need this spider to die. Now we can go into Rasa. So he denies the Rasa, okay. Well, there's a deny, and we know that now. There's quite a few things we could go into here. Doesn't have a great block on the Rasa. So we could potentially kill Thresh and this Escaped Abomination. We could obviously go Ledros, but I don't like the look of the board right now, so it could be the turn to Ruination. So we'll simply go in first. He just played Deny, which means that the second Deny is always unlikely, of course. So I think we'll go for it now. He's never going to be on another Deny. Just have to, he can't play Rekindler now either, which is obviously quite important. He does get second Thresh though, that's somewhat frustrating. Can obviously set up that. We have Ledros and Guillotine. Now with so you can set up another spider and potentially guillotine a whole board here away. So that's going to give us the chance to do this. And now he doesn't even want to attack. So I'm very happy to just take the 1. And because he doesn't want to attack, that might cost him the game here. Because with Ledros now, and with our spiders down, we can cut him to 1. He has to block Ledros, he has to block every spider unless he's got a drain effect. So there's just a Shadow Assassin. Will we get him? Yes, we will! We didn't see Glinthorn, unfortunately. But we did get him. We did get him. And that is how the deck can win. There's probably maybe slight misplays in there from me. This can be quite a difficult deck to pilot in certain instances. He definitely made a misplay. He definitely still should have attacked. But people are scared. People, you know, he didn't want to lose everything to Noxian Guillotine, but he should have realized that with everything that I had, it was going to cause a problem for him. But there you go. You see, when you play cards that people don't expect, particularly against higher level players, you can cause surprise value and you can win games like that. You know, he's never expecting me to have Noxian Guillotine in a deck like that, and it can cause some shock value, and come in pretty clutch there, as you saw, as it caused a big misplay from him there. Always attack in that scenario. You know, if he attacks, he puts me under pressure. Yeah, I can wipe some units off, but I can't win the game next turn if he just has 1 blocker left. So he always should have attacked, but instead we come out with the victory, and so I'm glad that was the case. So this is the deck. Tis but a flesh wound. Pretty fun to play, to be honest, especially when you go off with Noxian Guillotine. You know, if you can kill 3 units in 1 turn, which is what he was so scared about, that he was going to attack and I was going to be able to just kill everything essentially. Yeah, it can be pretty fun. So that's the deck. I hope you have enjoyed this video. My name's been Chris. Have a really nice day.